our award-winning segment that we debuted last week. The 5 for 55 is back once again. And we today are going to be talking about the college football bracket that just got released here over the weekend. Some interesting names here to go through. And so we're going to go through that here in the 5 for 55 and kind of talk about different things. And then we'll go through it as the college football playoff progresses. So let's start it out. We're going to have the timer, 55 seconds on Clemson versus Texas. L Boogie, the floor is yours.
Here's to the Clemson team led by Dabo Sweeney. The anti-transfer portal guys. I'm going to develop these guys into champions. I felt like Clemson kind of squeaked in here a bit, even though all these teams are playing a lot better this time of the year. Texas, although they have that loss to Georgia, or the 2 losses to Georgia, I still think that they are one of the teams to beat. They are a team that probably should be in the bye week. I just don't see Clemson making it happen.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. Texas got a lot of power with that program, and it'll be interesting to see some players that maybe the Chicago Bears will take interest in drafting. It wouldn't hurt that for sure. So there's the 55 for Clemson versus Texas. We'll keep this rolling along and move on to Tennessee versus Ohio State, who got humbled against Michigan. So no more. We'll see if Ohio State can avoid another flag planting. 55 seconds for Ohio State, Tennessee.
Well, if you just look at it, you'd say the Ohio State should be the front runner for this game, which they are. I'm sure they're favored. And I think one of the problems with Tennessee, I think, is in these big games against these big teams, that their win-loss record isn't as great as you would like it to be. I do think that this game is closer than people may think it would be, and I say that because there are some chinks in Ohio State's chain this year. Even with all the great athletes that they have, they're coming off a big defeat against Michigan, which was a really defensive game. However, Ohio State finds a way to win. Do you agree?
Yeah, I would say so, but I think that they got humbled a bit against Michigan, and we'll see if they are still thinking about that loss, because there was a lot of chaos after that game as well with the Ohio State cops pepper spraying Michigan. Like, I was sitting there like, well, I didn't know that, like, if my team lost, we could pepper spray the other team. If that was the case, then we get the Packers back over to Soldier Field.
Damn right. I need something to talk about over Christmas dinner.
Oh boy, that was a wild scene. So we'll see if Ohio State can bounce back from that one. All right, moving things along here. We've got SMU, kind of the underdog story of this bracket, going up against Penn State. 55 seconds. What do you think?
Listen, I'm sure that everybody has Penn State to pick to win against SMU, except for people that may live in Dallas, Texas. However, if SMU did win, it would be quite a game. Penn State wins this one unless SMU does something absolutely magical, but kudos to them. I'll probably be rooting for them. I'm sure Anthony Adams and some of my Penn State friends won't like that, but I'm an underdog guy. I like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the more we get into this, the more you're going to see this bracket littered with SEC and Big Ten schools, which have kind of become these superpower conferences as they continue to add more and more teams to these conferences. So it's going to be harder and harder for teams like that here to make it. You're shaking your head a little bit. What are your thoughts on that?
Because you're going to see more and more Texas teams. Who's got the money? You want to talk about NIL? Who's got the money? You see SMU in right now. SMU's not going to they're not going to falter. Texas, they have Lamborghinis. Their guys get Lamborghinis. Okay. You want to talk NIL? So if you want to talk NIL, listen, Texas is it's the oil rich state. Okay. You're going to see more players going to Texas and you're going to see more of them in these brackets in the future. Why not?
Yeah, well, El Boogie, you once had a Lamborghini.
I did. I did.
Oh, I had to. I'm sorry. I had to.
No, it's good. It's good. A lot of people. I get a lot of comments from people that want to troll me. Like it gets under my skin. Like it bothers me. I just want to set the record straight. It doesn't bother me. It's actually laughable. Go ahead.
Yeah, of course. We're of course. We love you, Boogie. We love you. So, all right. Final. We got a couple more to get through here for the 5 for 55 Emmy Award winning segment. My big game coming up on the 20th. They're going to play 3 games on the 21st on Saturday. Only 1 game on primetime Friday night. That's Indiana versus Notre Dame, an in-state matchup. You know about the Midwest here in Indiana.
Come on.
IU and Notre Dame, there's always been this it's kind of funny because Purdue fans will make fun of IU basketball fans for liking Notre Dame football. And so now all of a sudden you get this matchup that you thought you'd never see on this big of a stage. IU with Curt Cignetti versus Notre Dame and your former teammate at training camp, Marcus Freeman. 55 seconds on the big in-state matchup.
Well. This is the big one. If you're in the Midwest, this is a big one for you. In-state, Indiana versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame is tricky because, where you look at their personnel and you say, okay, man, this team should be really strong. They'll lose a game. They'll lose a game here or they'll lose a game there along the way. But they lost early and have built a lot of momentum coming into this game. Indiana has been the Cinderella of the year in college football. Obviously they lost in the championship, but I think this is a 50-50, almost a 50-50 fight if everybody comes out and plays their best game.
Yeah. As a Notre Dame fan, I'm always bracing for the worst. And this would certainly, if you had to have them face any team in their first game, and you talk about, I'm always worried about what's going to be the most embarrassing loss for Notre Dame. Obviously, losing to Northern Illinois, they lose a game like that, it seems like every year. And so I'm always worried about that embarrassing moment. And so now you've got an IU team coming to Notre Dame. IU has nothing to lose as far as I'm concerned, and Notre Dame has everything to lose. So I think that plays in IU's favor. But, from a personnel standpoint, Notre Dame has the big dogs in the trenches.
I've always said that.
Always have the big dogs. So they should be able to take care of business. But the longer you let IU hang around and the more you let them believe in themselves, I think the more that Notre Dame fans should worry when we get in the second half. So I just think all bets are off when it comes to Notre Dame because they've always got this,
that's the tricky part. That's the tricky part. You know what I mean? And there's a way that they have to impose their will here. They're superior in the trenches. If they're superior in the trenches, there's a way to win this game.
Yeah, 100%. And Curt Cignetti certainly has got them kind of operating like a well-oiled machine. But you saw when they played Ohio State, a big boy program, because the one argument you can make against IU is their schedule was pretty light. Then they play Ohio State and get the brakes beat off them. Yep. But Notre Dame lost to a team like Northern Illinois. So I think anything is possible in a game like this. It'll be interesting to see that matchup on the big stage. Final question here on the 5 for 55. Who got snubbed? 55 seconds. Couple teams that are certainly complaining. One being Alabama. 55 from the 55. Who got snubbed?
All right. So when you say who got snubbed, all right, let's talk about who didn't get snubbed. Okay, and who didn't get snubbed are teams from the SEC. Okay, and I'm going to tell you why. All right, they're always going to argue, well, we have the toughest conference. All right, well, you have a choice. You have a choice to be in the conference that you want to go to. All right, you have a choice to go to Alabama. You have a choice to go to these teams. So when you find yourself in these most competitive conferences, all right, and you find yourself on the outside looking in, all right, it's because you didn't win the games you were supposed to. That's why. You didn't win the games you're supposed to. Don't cry about Indiana getting in there. Don't cry about SMU getting in there, all right? Go win the games you're supposed to and get yourself in. And because you're the most competitive conference, more than likely, you'll probably win it if you get into the doggone playoff.
Yeah, no, it's well said. I think every team has every opportunity to get in there, and they've expanded this playoff from 2-team national championship to a 4-team playoff, and now it's up to 12. Like, at this point, if you didn't get in, it's on your own. It's on your own call. We can't keep. This isn't going to be like the college basketball playoff where we're going to extend this to 65 teams. Sorry, if you didn't get in, that's on you. So looking at the bracket here, if Tennessee and Ohio, if the winner of Tennessee Ohio State would play Oregon. I always say Oregon. Everybody makes fun of me. And then of course Clemson versus Texas. Winner plays Arizona State in Briggsy's neck of the woods. And then you've got IU, Notre Dame. Winner takes on Georgia. Certainly going to be a tough one for either of those teams there. And then SMU and Penn State. Winner plays Boise State. So as we go along here on this college football playoff, we will continue to talk about that. And, because we're getting to the end of the Bears season, and we can certainly talk about who the next head coach is going to be and what Caleb Williams needs to do to end the year. And we're going to talk about the Bears-Vikings matchup coming up here in just a little bit. But, we can take a break from beating the dead horse that is the Chicago Bears, and they certainly are the dead horse.
We all silly like the mayor.